In the heart of Manhattan, where the neon lights made the city glow like multicolored chemical lights in the night, lived a young man named Jay. He was soft on the eyes and charismatic, leading an upper-middle-class life, until one fateful night turned his world upside down. Jay had been out at a friend's apartment, enjoying socializing with several friends. Laughter and chatter filled the air as they ate snacks and played dominoes. A glance at his cell phone told him that it was 10 p.m., and he decided it was time to head home. He dapped his friends up, said goodbye and started his walk toward home. As he made his way through the labyrinthine streets, he approached a neighborhood bodega, a familiar sight. But tonight, it held something far from ordinary. Just as Jay approached the bodega doors, they swung open and two figures burst out, their faces concealed by dark masks. In their hands gleamed the chilling glint of firearms. Frozen in his tracks, Jay watched in shock as the armed robbers hurriedly left the store. Panic gripped his heart, and he instinctively flattened himself against the cold brick wall, hidden in the shadows. From his concealed vantage point, he peered into the bodega. The store owner and a few customers huddled behind the counter, terror etched across their faces. Jay knew he couldn't stand idly by, not when innocent lives were at stake. Summoning his courage, Jay edged closer to the door, intending to check on the safety of those inside. But just as he approached, the shrill wailing of police sirens pierced the night. Panic washed over him again. The police were already on their way, and he feared they might mistake him for one of the criminals. Without thinking, Jay made a split-second decision. He darted into the bodega to ensure the safety of the store's occupants. He knew he had to do it quickly. He couldn't let the robbers see his face. Inside, he whispered reassurances to the trembling customers and the store owner. They nodded in gratitude and fear, and Jay knew he needed to act fast. The approaching sirens grew louder, and the flashing red and blue lights cast an eerie glow through the windows. Just as he was about to slip back outside and disappear into the night, the bodega's entrance exploded open. The two armed robbers stormed in, with unmasked faces, twisted in anger and desperation. Jay hid behind a shelf stacked with snacks, his heart pounding like a drum. The police had arrived, and chaos erupted. Shouts and gunshots echoed in the cramped space. Jay's only thought was to survive this nightmarish ordeal. As the confrontation between the robbers and the police escalated, Jay realized he needed to get out before the situation turned even more dangerous. With nerves of steel, he crept toward the rear exit, determined to slip away unnoticed. But just as he reached the door, a stray bullet ricocheted off a shelf, and nearly missing Jay's arm. Startled, he knocked over a freestanding shelf, spraying canned goods across the floor. The noise caught the attention of one of the armed robbers, who went to investigate. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second, a moment charged with tension and fear. Jay knew he had to act swiftly. He lunged forward, pushing the door open and sprinting into the night, his heart racing faster than his feet. The robbers shouted in his pursuit, their footsteps pounding behind him. Jay zigzagged through the intersecting streets, hoping to lose them in the maze of alleys and hidden corners. Adrenaline coursed through his veins as he weaved through the darkness, his breaths ragged and desperate. The city became a blur of street lights, but Jay couldn't afford to slow down. He knew that his life depended on evading capture. With each passing second, he put more distance between himself and the armed robbers. However, just when he thought he might have successfully eluded them, the unexpected happened. Red and blue lights flashed ahead of him, and a police cruiser skidded to a stop, blocking his path. Panic surged through Jay as he realized he had run right into the arms of five. Without hesitation, he veered sharply to the left, darting into a narrow alley. The police officers shouted for him to stop, but Jay couldn't afford to be caught. He navigated the twisting passageway, his footsteps echoing in the confined space. Suddenly, a chain-link fence loomed before him. Desperation gave him strength, and he scaled it with a burst of agility. He landed on the other side, panting and bruised, but still free. His pursuers were left shouting on the opposite side of the fence, their voices growing fainter as Jay put more distance between them. Hours passed, and Jay found himself hidden in the darkest corner of an abandoned brownstone. He dared not move, his breath coming in shallow gasps as he listened for any sign of his pursuers. The adrenaline rush began to fade, leaving him cold and exhausted. Eventually, Jay made his way back to his small apartment where he lived with his sister, his body aching from the ordeal. He knew he couldn't stay there for long, as his sister would be involved unnecessarily. The armed robbers would be looking for him in the neighborhood because Jay saw their faces, and the police would have questions. Seeking refuge with a friend, he found temporary safety. But the shadow of that fateful night loomed over him like a dark cloud, a constant reminder of the danger he had unwittingly stumbled into. Weeks turned into months, and Jay's life became a game of hide and seek. He changed his appearance, kept a low profile, and even went as far as relocating to a different city. Yet, he knew that the armed robbers were still out there, searching for the witness who had seen their faces. Finally, Jay decided to seek legal help. He hired an attorney who could clear his name and protect him from the clutches of both the criminals and Five. It was a risky move, but he had no other choice. The attorney worked tirelessly, collecting evidence and building a case to prove Jay's innocence. And when the truth came to light, it was revealed that Jay had been nothing more than an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire of a dangerous situation. The armed robbers remained on the run, still desperate and dangerous. They knew that Jay was the key witness, and they would stop at nothing to silence him. Jay, with the protection of the DA, was safe for the time being, but the threat of the robbers' vengeance lingered like a dark cloud. And so, dear reader, Jay's life took an unexpected turn that fateful night. Thanks for watching.